Hey, hello, everyone.
Hello.
You join me in London. I'm in my nice little capsule hotel. Uh,
Ooh.
yes. So I hope the connection stays stable. Artie, how are you? You well?
I'm great. Yeah, thank you. There's one person missing. Where is somebody?
I was gonna say it's the elephant not in the room, but that like she's overweight. That would be true if it was me not in the room.
Oh.
Yeah, Helen couldn't make it. Bit of a family thing going on at the moment that she has to deal with. So she's really annoyed because she would have loved to have met Rex. Um, but we'll pass on our apologies to Rex. Rex Landy is our guest today. She'll be turning up in half an hour. She's getting up early in New Zealand for us, which is very good of her. I believe she was excellent on Posey last night. But yeah, it's been an interesting week. What did we talk about before we get there? I guess the thing that's most exciting to me is Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Uh, I watched it this morning. I watched a relevant bit, and he's because this is such a because this is deliberately a confusing thing to talk about, and they make it confusing by changing the rules and all this sort of stuff. His kind of the words he uses and stuff are a little bit confused. Like, for instance, I think he says that JK Rowling believes in gender, right?
Hmm.
Which is, of course, not really what she believes. She believes in the reality of sex, and she believes that gender is a construct,
Yeah. Yeah.
But still, he's on the right side. And boy, does he say does he nail certain things? Like, for
Mm.
instance, he says he says trans activists make up words to win arguments.
That's
And
great.
doesn't that just say it all? The whole Every time I hear someone talking about cis people and stuff like that, it it, it's an extraordinary trick that's been played on middle class people.
It's real language really is at the heart of this because when you say something like trans people are picturing like there's an actual class of people that has a relevant distinction and distinguishing unifying characteristic and trait. And at one time that may have been true because a trans person was someone that took some very distinct actions to identify themselves as a transsexual, like having surgeries, etc., and being recognized by clinicians as having a condition. But that's all out the window now. The word means nothing. And once the very central word, trans people, is literally meaningless now, it's just a label that's as meaningful as emo, then everything else falls apart. And it's just so hard to talk about this issue in any way because everywhere you go, there's language traps. And
Mm,
there's like even words like trans man. Some people think you mean a male to female trans person, and
I
some people
know.
think you mean a female to male trans person. Even pronouns, when you address people, there's just people screaming no matter which way you go. So it's just very, very difficult to get into any discussion about this. So for a lot of people, they can't even they don't know where to begin because it's just an utter confusing mess because of language.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and there's certain things that, you know, need to be questioned every single time you hear them, like trans kids. That needs to
Mm-hmm.
be questioned every single time you hear it because the American invention of trans kids as an idea is being used, as we know, to medicalize gay kids.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
right.
or
And kids with distress. Yeah.
kids with distress and kids with autism and so
Mm-hmm.
on. So this single word, the single phrase of trans kids is causing so much damage. So even if he gets certain things wrong, I'm really glad he's brave enough to tackle it. And he's another person who, and gosh, I wish I was in this position, but basically he's another person who's so rich that they can't touch him. Like Chappelle and JK Rowling have enough money to tell the truth. Telling the truth at the moment is extremely expensive. It's probably the most expensive thing you can do, So,
Yeah.
they can afford it. And the only thing about it that I worry about a little bit is he said it was his last special. Why on earth would he give up?
Oh,
He's
I thought he said it was his last special for a minute. Isn't that what he said?
for a minute. Oh, okay.
I think it was just a joke because he's putting them out. He's churning them out so fast.
Okay.
I hope I could be wrong, but that's what I thought.
He's just such a master. know, and the story he tells at the end. Have you seen it, Artie? Sorry.
No, not yet. No, I just heard about it this morning, and of course, it's still like several hours earlier over here. So
he tells a story at the end that you could. I mean, if he hadn't backed it up with certain things, you'd think, oh, he's making this up just for to look good or whatever, you know, or to tell an entertaining story. But the way when he goes on, you realize, oh my God, this is the truth, and like it's the ultimate story about how trans people are being really betrayed by trans rights activists.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll see what I mean when you watch it. It's
I heard about it. Yeah, I think he was saying that. Should we spoil it for people or should we not?
I don't think we should, because it's such a big moment in the thing that I wouldn't like to take it away for people. And the fact that, you know, once you watch the whole thing, you realize it's true. It's worth watching just to see it, you know. But yeah, he's extraordinary, and thank God that there's a few people who can take the financial hit and tell the truth, you know. The other thing, actually, the thing I thought was going to be the big story today, but it hasn't really caught fire the way I thought it would. But David Lammy just lied like twice, three times. No, he lied twice. Once on the Today program and once on Radio 5 Live by saying that trans issues never come up on the doorstep.
That's
and
right.
Not only did they come up, but he held a woman's hand who was crying because she was so worried about the erosion of women's safe spaces, and said, Labour will not let women down. So the man who said Labour will not let women down also called women like her dinosaurs hoarding their rights. You know,
he held a woman's hand and then he turned around and threw her right under the bus. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just gripping it so he could. You know,
yeah, it's shocking. You know, there was like a 3-hour meeting he attended, and then he's acting like none of this ever happened. And this is a big deal because he did outright lie, and he did twice on major media outlets. So if this issue is important enough that it had to be addressed twice on a major media outlet, then it's important enough to tell the fucking truth about it. Then it is a very big deal that he lied about it, very just self-evidently, you know.
Yeah, and not only that, but since I published it, I've had 2 letters, people who've written to him about this. And if anyone's watching and you also wrote to David Lammy, please send me your letters and I'll publish them, you know. But it's one of those things. Oh, and by the way, I saw an interesting thing as well. This is just slightly related, but Dominic Raab got into trouble today for saying that misogyny affected both men and women, right? And a lot of MRAs like that Jim Felton guy and Monty have been accusing him, you know, have been kind of slagging him off. But he didn't say that. He said insults and misogyny are bad at men or women. So it's another one of these ones where people leave out a part of a story just to kind of put the boot in, you know. So I don't really have any interest in defending Dominic Raab, but
I don't know who that is, but
you know what? I kind of forget who he is.
A British celebrity.
He's an MP, I think, or
okay,
some kind of hanger-on, some kind of. Let me just remind myself. Hold on a sec. He's the deputy PM. Jesus.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. He's obviously really made an impression on me. But also, I believe Boris Johnson went on TV and made a really crappy statement about how everyone must be respected, and he's in this terrible position.
Great.
He's in this terrible position because his wife is obviously, you know, another one of these luxury belief entitled lib fems who don't see what will happen to things like rape crisis centers and stuff like this, you know, and is more interested in you know, validating their mate's kid. But he's in this weird position because he knows it's electoral suicide if he starts going down this road, you know. No one believes it outside of Twitter. No one believes it outside of. Look at Dave Chappelle's audience, you know, and there's a brilliant shot that I put on my site of you know, these two women just staring up at the stage, just completely unsmiling, you know, angry. Everyone else is laughing, you know, and these two women out of hundreds of people, you know, that is the ratio. That's the ratio. But unfortunately, those two people on Twitter are, for some reason, listened to by everyone, you know.
Yeah, and everybody else kind of keeps their mouths shut too. I noticed this when I went out on the streets with that man Chris Elston, Billboard Chris, who's wearing his sandwich boards. I joined him when he was visiting here in Toronto, and it was really interesting experience being out on the streets, interacting with people one-on-one. A lot of people were curious, and a lot of people, once they got past sort of the pitch of what this was all about, they relaxed and realized they were angry about this too, and they didn't agree with it at all. A very few people just sort of not, you know, it was just a very small demographic of people who are all gung-ho about this. But that small demographic is the kind of demographic that tends to control the media. People who are middle class, suburban, raised, university educated, predominantly white, you know, kind of overeducated to the point of their own foolishness.
Yes, exactly. They bamboozle themselves. But that's another thing that Chappelle points out. You know, he points out, and it's a wonderful thing to see, because, you know, we've been pointing it out for years, that this is a white power play. This is a power play by white people. Suddenly they are the most oppressed people in the world. And you know, I just love that Dave Chappelle is there keeping an eye on it and not letting them away with it, you know.
Well, there is something to be said that we've constructed this whole world of identities, rankings, and, you know, white straight men are kind of at the bottom of that ranking system because we're trying to sort of correct for past injustices. But then they've created this giant loophole where, oh, don't worry, you can just march right back up to the top again, because there's this identity that's just freely available for the taking. You know, all you have to do is call yourself they, them, and presto changeo. You know, you're right back at the top again. They built themselves this little loophole, you know.
Yeah, and it's particularly dangerous because the only people who would take advantage of it in a cynical way, let's say someone like that Bangor mayor, the first non-binary mayor, just this posh white bloke, you know, and you know, the kind of people who would take advantage of it are kind of people who have, I would argue, a sort of a criminal outlook on life. You know, they think that people are suckers. You know, I've told that story before about how policemen, when they are looking for someone in a supermarket parking lot or something like that, check the disabled spaces, because criminals are using the disabled spaces because they think, well, you know, why wouldn't I use it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's exactly the kinds of people who are going to be wanting, like, who are going to take advantage of these things, who are the kinds of people you don't want in women's spaces, the kinds of people you don't want running rape crisis centers, exactly the kinds of people who would take advantage of this, who wouldn't have any self-restraint or any, you know, any sort of, what would you call it, any respect for the boundaries of women, are exactly the kinds of people who are going to do that.
It empowers some pretty terrible people, you know. And unfortunately, there's a lot of innocent people who are caught up in it as well, you know? Like, people often say, you know, oh, you never talk about trans men, you know? Well, it's because trans men aren't imposing themselves on every space they can, you know? With the exception,
we do talk about trans men all the time in the context of, you know, it's very tragic what's going on with them. This is a crisis of women's mental health. But we don't talk about them in terms of they're causing harm to women, because by and large, I think they're victims of this issue, you know?
Yes, me too. And you know, it's there's a couple of exceptions, of course. There's some. I mean, Chase Strangio is just, you know, gone with the fairies, just completely insane. And you know, there's a Pink News journalist who's just, you know, beyond kind of what would the word be? Just a psychotic, just a psychotic, you know. Anyone who attacks people the way they do is just extraordinary. But generally, you find that the trans men thing, you know, I read a very sad thing that I put in my site. I did a list of detransitioners to follow, and Stella O'Malley said that a lot of detransitioners talk about how they were exhausted, how they eventually were exhausted because someone said they're brokenhearted when they don't pass. And they obsess about it, and they hold themselves very carefully. They kind of, you know, act like they think men act, you know. And Stella said, yeah, it's just eventually exhaustion that just kind of makes them realize, I got to stop doing this. I've got to, you know, be a human being rather than the thing that I'm pretending to be, you know.
Yeah, that's so sad. Yeah.
It really is. It really is. What else has happened this week? Let me see.
Well, we had that great big Abigail Schreier piece about two prominent doctors in transgender medicine. I think one's a psychologist or psychiatrist or psychotherapist. Psychiatrist, yes. It must be. And then the other one's a surgeon.
I thought they were both surgeons.
Oh, maybe they are. I could be wrong. I thought I had read somewhere that one of them was actually a psychiatric doctor, but I could be wrong. Maybe they're both surgeons. Someone will correct us in the thing. But I know one of them is the president-elect of the W Path, which is quite shocking.
Wow. And another, and also they've been kind of, one of them has been praised by mermaids. Jack Turban called her an absolute something like genius or something like this. And and now as well, apart from you know, they're obviously nervous because they know that the lawsuits are coming, or perhaps there's a couple they've heard about that are underway. But they've done that thing. If they've said they're lying, well, no, I can't say they're lying, but they're claiming that Abigail Schreier made up or misrepresented them and stuff like that, you know, and you can guarantee that's not true. Abigail Schreier on this subject especially will not be making anything, will have everything backed up. So it's a spurious thing to say. But
it was astonishing that they spoke to Abigail Schreier of all people. You know, that's a ringing endorsement of it's sort of it does both. These are people who have accumulated so much credibility in this field, and now they're using it to say that there are problems, and they're also using it to bring Abigail Schreier some credibility among a bunch of people who have been ripping at her. You know, I thought it was pretty astonishing that they would agree to give her this scoop of all people.
But you know, again, I you know, again, another thing I'm always saying is we really have to look at all those people, and there's some very, you know, there's some very big names who've been doing it in this country. Owen Jones, for example, people like that who have been spreading the puberty blockers are completely fine, there's no problem type thing, and trying to and pretending they know anything about this stuff. Not only that they know something about it, but they're so confident that they can tell the parents of kids that your kids will be fine, that you can reverse these things. It's not reversible. Puberty blockers are not reversible. That's what they that's what they said. And yet we still have all these people who have been endangering lives for the last, you know, however many years, 5 years, I guess we've been talking about this stuff.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But you know, they'll still be on speed dial for every interview show, every journalist. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what do you have to do? It's like after the Iraq War when they still got the people on who were saying it would be great, and then they come back on again. Like, why are you talking to these people? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're not experts. They're not experts. Why are you talking to? Get an expert in. Get someone who said it would be a disaster. You know what I mean? Don't just phone your mate. You know,
I think it was Aaron Terrell who said he's revising his belief that this is all going to turn around in the next 5 or 6 years down to the next 1 or 2 years, because this seems to be collapsing so quickly. And it's not really collapsing all that quickly. It's taking far too long, far longer than it should. But at least at least we're seeing more and more changes every day, you know? Yeah.
I wonder whether there's a lot of people in this fight who can't pick it apart, who can't connect, say, the puberty blockers thing to their wanting to be called they or it, you know. I wonder if there's people who don't realize that the two things are together, you know. I wonder if there's people who don't realize that the you know, the kind of the idea of the trans kid, for instance, has been completely debunked by these interviews. You know, I mean, you know, you cannot say, or at least the idea that this healthcare is actually good for kids. You know, I mean, I what I worry about sometimes is it seems to me that people are able to compartmentalize all this stuff and not really connect the dots, and not, but I guess through self-defense, apart from anything else, because many of them have gone all in on this nonsense, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I've no real question there. But I'm hoping to get Abigail to chat on the show. I had a nice meeting yesterday with an old friend who luckily gets it, which I was kind of worried about, because you never know with people. You never know if you're going to pick up the phone and it's going to be like, but he gets it, and that was very good. Hadn't seen him for a while. Hadn't seen him since before Corona. So that was good. So I'm in good form, really. I'm looking forward to Rex. She's kind of been so impressive in all the things I've seen her on, that I'm sure she'll be great. But Posey got her first. Posey's always one step ahead. But hopefully we'll have some new things to talk about in this one. How is Canada at the moment? Is Canada still insane?
Yeah, Canada's still insane. Same old bullshit. We had this election that changed literally nothing. Everything's exactly back to square one. But at least it reset all of these legislation proposals. They have to go back to the starting board to make their way through the process again.
Oh, that's good.
But it's tedious because it's the same. We're gonna have the same result. It's just buying a little time,
But didn't the last time, didn't they do things like stop you from speaking and stop you from giving evidence and stuff? Is there a chance you'll be able to give evidence again?
Oh, yeah, but I don't think there's a chance in hell that the outcome is going to change in the end. This is the third time they're going to be pushing this through. So at this point, they might not even invite people to speak because they might say that they've already done that,
Right.
That's an interesting question, though, that I'll pose to my friend who's an expert in the myriad ways of Canadian legislation that I don't understand.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, so Canada's still, frustrating.
Yeah. Well, and America's going to take a long time to turn around as well. It's it's so ingrained. I saw they're trying to make it happen here, and I saw something that I just immediately thought was a parody by my friend Mole, who does Photoshop work for me. It was something like, this partnership with Stonewall UK, LGBT Foundation, LGBT Consortium, GLAD UK will work to deliver extensive advice and training to NHS employers so LGBT staff and patients feel truly included. But the job is NHS Rainbow Badge Assessor.
Assessor? What does that mean? They're like scanning you to make sure you have a rainbow badge?
I don't know. But there's a guy, and he's got a clipboard, and he's writing something down. What would he be writing down?
That's insane.
This person didn't have their rainbow badge on today. Check in tomorrow. Is that what they're right? Rainbow Badge Assessor. I mean, it's becoming so close to a kind of communist dystopian nightmare,
Yeah.
It really is. Like, people are going to start having to call each other comrade in a second. I know that sounds like paranoia, and I would have scoffed at it ages ago. But Rainbow Badge Assessor.
I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah.
What's happening? What is happening? So yeah, I'm trying to think anything else that has been happening this week. Sorry.
There have been some other things. There was Keira Bell's filed her appeal.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great news. Well done, Keira. Good for you. I'm really glad she's fighting it. And even if she doesn't win, even if they still go for the Gillick thing, I think that she's changed the conversation, but also the brilliant thing is that it's a lot harder now for them to prescribe these drugs. You know, so that's been great. But I'm hoping she'll win outright. That would be wonderful. And also it would shut down Kimono Fox guy.
Yeah.
It's weird without Helen.
I know. Helen would be she'd be good to bring in some in-depth analysis and all this. And, she's much more up to speed on what's been going on in the UK this week than I am, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that Rex is up. So shall we bring her in and she could be Rex, would you like to come in now? And you can be our Helen replacement, as well as everything else, because I'm sure you can talk what's the word? Talk up a storm.
Yes.
In a sec.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the interview with again because it's still morning here with her and Posey. So this will be interesting, and I don't know much about her yet, so I'm gonna have lots to learn. Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting because I'll tell you, there's other stuff that we found out about her. Like, for instance, she says there's the ideology, gender ideology in New Zealand is rewriting the Maori tikanga, which is oral history of the Maoris, to say it was always there. And she says Maori do not have a third gender role. So, you know, it's interesting that, because I think one of the people who was treated her with such supercilious arrogance also seems to have certain tribal markings. So it'll be interesting to see what she says about that and how that stuff is being corrupted, you know. Maori, no S, Graham. Sorry, Maori. Yes. But yeah.
Yeah. So is she coming in or not yet?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen her pop in yet. We'll hear a little ping when she does, you know.
All right. Yeah. I don't know what else has been going on. There's been a lot of stuff this week, really. I just can't keep up with all of it. Any celebrities getting in trouble?
Well, Matt Lucas did his
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Did it a while ago. I mean, you know, there's like I just feel so bloody naive, because when he phoned me, he sounded like he had thought about it and realized, oh, I called this a bit wrong. And I thought, oh, he's going to be, he's going to kind of, he's woken up. He's seen homophobia, stuff like that. But no, he just kind of, for no reason, out of nowhere, attacked the LGBT Alliance.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then they said he's about to do a guest appearance on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Which is probably the reason. But, and you know, I think he very cynically, I have a feeling that for Matt it's all about his career, and I have a feeling he very cynically did it so that people would you know, he knows that trans rights activists, as long as you kind of bow, as long as you kind of bend the knee to them, then you can get away with anything. So he's done blackface and stuff like that in the past, and now that he's getting a bigger profile, I'm sure that stuff is going to come up again, and he's going to have to be he's going to have to answer to it. So I think he just thought, if I bend the knee, they might, you know, form a protective ring around me.
It's a very short-term strategy, because so many people are already starting to speak up in defense of LGBT Alliance, and now he's put himself not just in opposition to the LGBT Alliance, but to all of the people who are speaking up for it and putting themselves in alliance with the LGBT Alliance. You know, so many gay people.
I wonder how much. I wonder how many members LGBT Alliance has now. I mean, it's extraordinary that
well, it doesn't have a membership. It's not a membership-based organization. Like it doesn't have. So it doesn't have a number of members. It just has. There are people who voice support and people who donate and contribute, and I think they have quite a lot of donors now. The LGBT Alliance mothership, so to speak. Yeah.
I'll be speaking speaking at their conference this month, so I'm really looking forward to that.
I was hoping to come to that, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. We'll see. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, well, we're still waiting. It's terrible that you haven't been able to
figure that out.
Yeah. Still no sign of Rex. Maybe she's fallen back to sleep. It is 5 a.m. or something over there. But then again, I wouldn't watch this. I wouldn't watch this if I didn't have to. So she might be just turning it on. No, I'm joking. Of course I would. But like, she's possibly turning it on at exactly the time she needs to be on it, so she doesn't have to listen to it.
I think she's just getting set up now. There's a minor technical on her side. So minor technical on her side. We'll sort that out soon enough. Yeah, what else is going on in the UK?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think one thing it's interesting trying to trace where the Tories are on this, but they haven't really been addressing it. I mean, again, I'm always surprised by the Tories, because and every right-wing party, because they could be making hay with this stuff. Yeah. You know, the other side, are like Labour, like for that whole week that Labour had their conference on, they just stepped in a series of mud pies, you know, and you know, it's like, why aren't you taking advantage of this? But I guess because there's enough kind of cosmopolitan, you know, conservatives who also have luxury beliefs and who also have children who are claiming, you know, super special status, you know, that I would imagine that they're a little bit nervous about it as well. But once they decide to use it, it'll be like a nuke.
But it's hard for them too because of their very ugly history of opposing gay rights, and they're trying very hard to correct for that and to sort of clean up their image. And I think originally they saw this as an opportunity to do that when they were going all in on the Gender Recognition Act revisions and all of that. And now I think they see it as more complicated. So there's this desire to appease the LGBT, so to speak, even though that's sort of a term that's, you know, perhaps not very useful all the time. And then at the same time, you know, realizing that this is a problem, this goes against women's rights, this goes against, you know, free speech, it goes against reality and biological science.
They share that in common with Labour, that you can tell someone like Lammy and you know, all these people, you can tell they just think it's a quick win.
Yeah.
And it's another thing that kind of shows how kind of this supposedly revolutionary movement, it doesn't affect any power structures, because if the Conservatives aren't that worried about it, you know, if Starbucks and all are printing rainbow cups and do you know what I mean? It's because it doesn't cost them a single thing.
That's right. You know? Yeah, it's so cheap. It's just corporate pink washing, corporate rainbow washing, you know?
Yeah. And it's, but you know, there's a belief that it's somehow upending things. It's not really upending things. It's confusing people, and it's making people fall out with their loved ones. But it's not really kind of going against any of the structures that they would argue, a lot of them would argue, are oppressive. You know, like I'll tell you, my favorite thing about trans rights activists is that they are constantly calling the police. I've had the police now. This is the third time I had the police 2 weeks ago around my house, you know, and they're constantly calling the police. And I went to, and I've seen at 2 protests, these guys, and they have ACAB t-shirts. Have you heard of this, Artie? Which stands for All Cops Are Bastards. And it's like, they've got t-shirts saying all cops are bastards. And then they're phoning the cops on women.
Yeah, exactly. It's so silly.
Yeah.
Like all these people who want, like the idea that the students want the universities to have more power to control who can and can't speak and what they can say on campus just seems insane to me, you know?
Yeah, I found it very sad that Peter Boghossian had to write that piece, where he was talking about leaving, where was he again? I think he was
some university I'd never heard of before, actually.
Portland? Was it Portland University?
Something. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. But it was really sad that he actually had to leave. You know, that he ended up he just couldn't fight it in the end, you know?
Yeah.
And did you hear about he said there was an investigation, Portland State Uni, thank you, Cool Cat. He said there was an investigation, and the people who were investigating him asked different people in the interviews if they had heard the rumors that he was beating his wife and children.
Insane. That's like that's almost like it's almost like a cliche, you know, the whole beating your wife and children thing, you know.
I know, yeah. It's that thing you say, when did you stop your wife and children? But the fact that it was done by the people doing the investigation is really frightening.
It's really just I mean, universities just seem to be breeding grounds for this kind of attitude now. It's really, really, really scary, you know.
Yeah. Where is Rex?
She's just having technical difficulties.
Really?
Yeah, she's got a problem with her browser that she's trying to work out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we should.
We might have to reschedule or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we will. We will have to do that. Is there anything else that we can talk about that you guys want to suggest? No, they're just getting into it in the comments with each other. But yeah. Oh no, I think maybe we will have to reschedule. I think maybe we have to reschedule.
I think so. We got no Helen, and we might have to reschedule with. Yeah.
And we don't have Helen either. So
yeah.
So maybe this is a bit of a keep talking. Someone says. But have you seen Squid Game?
I have not seen Squid Game. I don't know if I want to watch it. It sounds like it might be too violent, but I'm enjoying The Only Murders in the Building. Have you heard of this one? The one about the podcast makers?
Is that Steve Martin?
Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez. Yeah, I just started watching that, and it's very funny so far.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. When everything was kicking off around here for me, I was offered that to direct. And I thought, are you kidding me? Steve Martin? Yes, please. And I said, yes, I will. I will do it. And then the phone went down, and then I got a call back literally half an hour later. And it was the guy saying, no, sorry, someone else has taken it. I mean, they offered it to me, and then just sorry, someone else is doing it. And I could tell from the fear in his voice, that he had gone out to the office and he'd gone, guess what, everybody? I've got Graham Linehan. And the youngest person there said, he's a bigot. Listen, Rex is here. So she's saying, oh God, you're here, Rex.
You made it.
Oh, that's all good. Kia ora, kia ora. Kia ora koutou katoa. Sorry about that.
Don't worry.
Had a picnic. Usually the computer problem in chair, not in computer.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I heard you were great on Posey's show last night, so thank you very much for doing us as well.
Oh no! Look, last week I was just a concerned citizen with mental health issues. You know.
Yeah. And now it's cigars.
It's obvious from my talk to the submission committee, my submission to the committee. I forgot my cup of deference that morning, and I don't think they were prepared.
Do you want to just explain a little bit about what the commission was set up for and what it's doing and why you appeared on it?
Well, this is the BDMRR, which is the Birth, Death and Marriages Registration Bill. They want to change to be able to falsify your birth certificate to say you've always been born a girl or always been born a boy. They want to create a legal fiction, and the sleepy little hobbitses here had no idea, and then loudmouths like me and Di Landy, shout out to my sisters, I couldn't do it without them, Philippa and Di Landy, Wahine toa, you know.
Yes. And I heard Holly Lawford was great yesterday. Yeah, well,
this is our hill, you know. We're prepared to stand up for it, and they're creating a legal fiction. If you get a chance, Paul Litterick, have a read of his submission. It's a masterful dissemination of what they want and what's going on. But they want to change this because somewhere a man in a dress is going to cry if we don't let him play pretend on an institutional and legal level. And so I did a submission to the committee. First time submitter, long time listener. And I've been at the coalface for a few years, so I don't know, on the spectrum. So I just use a word map and look at words, and it all just goes out for the GC stuff. Because, you know, I've been called a whore. I've been told I should be trepanned for saying fried chickenisha, or saying, you know, men are not women even if you squint.
Right. And
you know,
also,
they're happy to laugh at you. Sorry, I'm an aggressive overshare.
It's a little bit choppy apart. So if we
20 now, I'd be trans. Jump in, Artie. Well, nice to meet you.
Sorry. It's nice to meet you too. Yeah, I think you were just saying if you were 20, you'd be trans. Is that what you said?
Yeah, fuck yeah. If I was 20 now, I'd be trans. I'm aggressive. My name is Rex. I have short hair and I speak over men. Obviously, I'm a man. I'm just like you. You know, I'm just like you. I speak over, shut down, don't stop, my turn, and all that sort of thing. Me at 20, what a fucking nightmare, you know.
What's been really depressing about watching it? I mean, it's been impressive watching you and people like Holly Lawford Smith and the people you mentioned fighting back against it, but the sheer contempt and arrogance with which you've been treated, it really was disgusting.
It's incredible. You know, like I didn't swear at the select committee. One of my submissions got rejected because I forgot to edit it. And kei te pai to that, I'm okay with that. But we're noticing since my submission, but that contempt is incredible. If that's the best they can do with polite listening, and if their gotcha moments, you know, are like, well, you don't need a birth certificate to go to the toilet. We've known for thousands of years what a woman is. That's why I name checked Tamati Coffee, and I'm name checking him again. Because, you know, he knew what a woman was. He didn't get one of his trans sisters to carry his babies, did he? Because he knows what a fucking woman is. You know, all right. When it's slapping time and raping time and beat down and please, can you wipe somebody's ass time? And if you're not angry about this, then you don't know about it and you're one of those sleepy hobbitses. Or, you know, you're being in somebody's pocket.
Yeah.
You know, fuck, I've had enough. They come for the children. They're going to sterilize children and give them cancer drugs and say that's all right. No.
Are you seeing a lot of that in the Maori community? Young people declaring themselves trans?
There's a rise in it because 59% of all state wards are tangata whenua, Maori, and 10% of them are Pacific Islanders. And they're calling themselves non-binary because that's there's big uptake in that because that's a really safe way to be an ally without being a bigot.
Right. Yes.
Know.
I heard someone made an interesting someone made an interesting suggestion that some of the kids who are calling themselves non-binary are actually opting out of the whole trans thing. They're trying to find a way that they can not take part in it, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. And this is a way to be, you know, hiding in plain sight, you know, because I've got my badge and I'm saying the right things and, you know, the pronouns. Oh, hang on, have some of that.
Yes. I've seen it. We've seen it. I've been sharing it. I'm
just wearing it for you today because thank you very much. Because like I say, I'm a professional nobody. And last week I was just weaving and playing with the moko.
Do you know? Has there been any change since you appeared? I mean, it's been quite big among your appearance was very big amongst kind of GC circles over here. Has it changed the conversation at all in New Zealand?
A little bit, yeah, I think so. We're being watched now. And they finally read my submissions.
Oh, good. Oh, that's something.
Yeah, you know, it's been there for fucking weeks, Graham. Weeks they've had our submissions, but now I get this email this week going, oh, dear Mr. Landy, you know. So
that's good. Well, then
it's a juggernaut. It has lightning rod. I'll be the lightning rod.
Yeah. And I think one thing that has actually been useful is their rudeness. Their rudeness was actually so apparent.
Thank you with your gotcha and your lazy thinking. You know, you can practically hear the wheels turning over in some of their heads of like, oh, I have to think now.
And yesterday, I believe with Holly Lawford Smith, they said hello there. By the way, hello to your friend.
Yes. Yes, that's my sister Philippa, and we're just going to show you another T-shirt because we have these T-shirts and we wear them.
That's a bit.
I wear them in public. This is women are a fact, not a feeling.
Great. Yeah. Good. But I believe
the
yesterday,
first one that kicked it off.
Classic. Yeah.
But I've eaten my way out of that one. Sorry, so I had to give it to my sister. COVID. I put my COVID coat on.
I believe that.
And I wore that for the select committee.
Oh, good.
Oh, that one, lovely. Yeah.
I believe that yesterday Holly Lawford Smith was asked at one point. They asked her, "Do you have any evidence from these so-called?"
And it was like this. So who are these so-called experts? I mean, you know, you couldn't be any more contemptuous if you fucking tried. It's outrageous.
I've never seen anything like it. It's like I get it myself. People just think that they can talk to you or treat you with complete contempt, and they have no arguments. They have no evidence.
Japan, that woman looks like somebody's had a little bit too much to think. I know, and I know I'm raging. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. You don't have to drink me. That's all right. But I will not fucking will not be silent about this, especially when Marcy Bowers, the foremost transgender surgeon, has come out on Tuesday in an interview with Abigail Schwei. See, I've done some reading. These dullards on our committee haven't. They've just sat there going TWAW, TWAW, you know. And when I called her into account for the, you know, putting your fingers in your ears and going la 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 la, it's willful pretend.
They all do that.
We're being tongue-tied.
Yeah.
My video, my video went to R18. The one, my rant back to the committee, you know, because I didn't swear in the committee one, but after Deb Russell had to stretch her back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When she kind of swore and said something rude about it, subtweeted you on Twitter. Yeah.
She tweeted about me, but it wasn't me because she didn't have the courage to say, fuck, that was a terrible, you know, submission to listen to.
Yeah.
But she had the courage of her convictions. She would have said, I just feel like saying, oh, do fuck off. So I've popped that on a t-shirt and mine arrives this week. I'm going to buy it because sorry.
Like, one would think that if they had actual reasons to fight back against what you're saying, they would say it during the interview. Why don't they actually, you know, challenge you during the interview? Is it because they're scared of you?
I suppose because they couldn't. Because they couldn't believe what they were hearing. You know, autogynephiles and men in dresses are not women. You have a mental illness. It's in the DSM-5. And how is it hate speech to say that? I've got a mental illness too. That's why I don't generally have them in my dating pool, because their mental illness doesn't match mine. You know.
Yeah.
We don't jive. But, you know, I'm not asking you to legislate for me because I feel like I'm the supreme overlord of Mogolala. You know, and on some secret planet I live on, you must validate that. That's a heckin' cute and valid, you know, identity. No, it's fucking not. They're misappropriating international law.
Yes. And I believe you were saying that they're also rewriting Maori
tikanga.
Yes.
That's the word. Tikanga is our ways for living. This is our, you know, design for life, if you like, because te ao is massive. And I forgot to say it yesterday because this is really overwhelming. You can tell I'm talking as fast as at the committee. I'm nervous as fuck. Anyway.
Don't be nervous. You're doing great.
Oh, thanks. It's just, you know, they found themselves, challenged by the things I was saying.
Yeah.
And I forgot to say te ao, which is the Maori world. Te ao has room for everybody.
Yes.
There is room for everyone. Nobody is excluded. It's just that these things, there's no evidence. Kitty, what I said in my submission on page 82 of Dr. Elizabeth Kitty's own thesis, says there's no evidence of trans. And takatapui was around the time the colonizer came. Takatapui means intimate friend of the same sex. So that's you, Artie, right through to, you know, well, yeah, that's you, and right through to me and my friend Amy. So, you know, an intimate friend of the same sex, whether that's sexual right through to just putting the hours in and a very close friend.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. You made a point earlier about you know, this being validated on an institutional and legal level. Like, you know, if you want your friends to validate you somehow as, you know, to play along and recognize that you're you know, whatever sex you want to play along as, whatever that even necessarily means, people are free to do that in whatever way they want to. You know. Yeah, but it's right. That has nothing to do with legal and
no, that's right. You know, they may as well, and I read this. They may as well fund Napoleon costumes for everybody that thinks they're Napoleon.
Yeah,
you know, state-funded costumes for people who believe they're Napoleon. Great. I've got a secret identity. I've got a suit. See if you can guess. I've got a suit and a tie. And I've been known to rip my clothes off in the service of the greater good from time to time.
Okay.
I'm Superman.
All right. Okay.
Oh, there you go. You got the glasses.
Yeah.
I don't recognize you now.
Validate me immediately. See, I've ripped my clothes off for the greater good from time to time, like Superman does when he finds a phone box.
But
glasses,
where
I've got a suit. You know,
have you seen attempts to change Tikanga to make it kind of fall into line
yeah,
with
they're
gender
saying that.
ideology?
Oh hell yeah, they're rewriting this, telling us that our elders, our nannies and grandpas, our koro and kui, who are our leaders, our guides, people who've walked before us, you know, mentors. Yeah, these people are being told you need to be re-educated.
What?
In tikanga. This stuff is coming out of marae. I'm sorry, into marae, into our pa, where that's our principal home. This stuff is coming via the universities and the elite Maori who do not speak for all of us. We're not homogenous.
Mm-hmm.
Article 2 of He Whakaputanga, Article 2 of the treaty gives us the right to be sovereign nations, every tribe. Mm-hmm. He Whakaputanga is sovereignty, every tribe. So, you know, there are tribes where women are tohanga and other tribes where that's not. We all have our own way.
Yeah.
The tangata whenua in the South Island, their ways are different because it's colder in winter. Right. So they'll have different tikanga. You know, it's a practical thing. It's a living thing. It's not something in a museum. This is stuff we live by day to day. As simple as don't put your bum on the table because that's where we eat, bro. Through to highly ritualized stuff. You know, whai kōrero, not stuff.
I think it's interesting that they're trying to use tikanga to kind of that, you know, to introduce this completely American idea.
I know, 1950s. Then a slight dig on the internet will uncover the pederast from Morrinsville, Dr. John Money.
Yeah. John Money is, like, people may not know this, but John Money invented the whole theory of gender identity.
He so did, and abused these beautiful identical twins to do so.
They both killed themselves, didn't they? Didn't they?
That's
both
right.
Yeah, these are two.
But I'm the hater. It's that false equivalence. You know, if I say only women get pregnant, someone goes, "Oh, you just want all trans people to die."
Yeah, I know. It's extraordinary.
You know,
but that's because they don't have the arguments. They don't have the arguments, so they have to accuse you of mounting a second Holocaust.
Hate, you're a hater. And your mantras, you know, however many times I say my Toyota is a Bentley, it's not going to happen. It's not a luxury car.
You know. So listen, how are you? Let me ask you, Rex. How are you going to keep fighting this? And is there anything that people can do to help? Is there any way they can support you and help you? You have a YouTube channel, right?
Well, yeah, we do. We're Mana Wāhine Kōrero, and we were founded from a need to push back against this, of these elite people saying that a man in a dress can perform karanga. Now, karanga is when at any pōwhiri you have an opening, a ceremony, and only wahine in this situation can perform the karanga, the call out. It is only wahine.
Yes.
It's like when, as I was saying yesterday, an all-male haka has a different vibe to a mixed haka. And they have manly business that they do, and they pierce the veil in different ways. Taiaha, tāne have, you know, all sorts of ways that tāne are represented, and all sorts of ways that wahine are, and never the twain. You know, never the twain. No, you stop making this shit up. It's not true.
So, will you give us the links to anywhere we can send our viewers that they can follow you and support you and stuff like that?
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, I can send you my PayPal if anybody's interested. I'm on an iPhone 3 and a 4-year-old laptop. I'm poorer than a church mouse, and that's why I speak out, because there's fuck all they can take away from me.
Oh, well, good for you, Rex.
You know what I mean? Of like, I've got nothing to lose. And then they're starting to sterilize children and say that Lupron, a cancer drug, is perfectly safe. And I'm going before the select committee again on Friday, but this time it's the conversion therapy bill. It's at 2 o'clock our time. So it'll be.
Is it the same?
No. I'm not sure who they'll have. Whether it'll be Louisa Wall, Elizabeth Kitty, they're allies in the streets, and turfs in the sheets. They'll never fillet a lady penis. And you know, I say this shit, no filter. No, I will not pretend for mentally ill people. God bless you. Go and get some talk therapy.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting willfully mistreated because there's $1 million. You can spend up to $1 million on a vanity crutch and still not be able to piss.
Oh, it's the lack of
egregious and wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah, it's really appalling. It's really appalling, and it's not going to be good for them either. But like,
no,
but,
and it's, yeah. So
listen,
sorry, I've talked over you. Look at me. Yeah, sorry, Artie.
No, it's great.
Can't get a word in, bro. But yeah,
I'm happy listening.
But listen, I hope that they treat you with the respect you deserve this time round, and I'm sure I'd say that they hopefully have learned a lesson not to cross you, because everything you've done about it has been brilliant. So thank you so much, Rex. We'll leave it there.
Thank you. Wonderful.
And Helen wanted me to say she really wanted to meet you, but there was a family thing that she had to take care of.
No problem. Whānau first, because that's how the whole world is for us. That's why we fight so hard, is because our children are our treasure, our taonga. We have the right to self-determination. And they're coming and sterilizing our children. I'm not having it. I'm not having it. No.
I said it to someone the other day. I said young girls are having hysterectomies in their 20s, and they're having their breasts cut off in their teens. And he said, I don't care. Couldn't believe it.
Well, I'll finish with a little rhyme. I thought I might do a song for the committee, because they might expect another, but I thought I might do a little song this Friday. I don't know. But anyway, hey, diddle diddle, big farmers on the fiddle. Men are now women, I'm told. You can cut off your cock or tuck it away, but you're always a dude and you're bald. Over and out, bros. Ka kite, Maori order.
Goodbye, Rex. Lovely to see you. See you soon. Thank you for getting up for us. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, well, listen, we better call it a day, because obviously we need the magic number of Helen for this to really catch fire of 3. Thank you for joining us. Sorry that we were a little bit hesitant earlier on, but it's just so weird without the girl. So we'll see you next week, when hopefully normal service will be resumed. In the meantime, thanks, Artie. Lovely to see you. Thanks, Rex. And we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.